Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 12th biology students, and this is for 7th December 2020. And as all of us know, we are into the revision mode. We are revising the entire syllabus. As part of it, we have come to the last chapter for your batch. Chapter 15 is the last chapter for your batch, and we are going to discuss and reflect upon biodiversity and its conservation. So we are going to talk about what is biodiversity, what are the factors that influence biodiversity, what makes actually a biodiversity, and how to conserve biodiversity. And of course, an all important question to be answered is why to conserve biodiversity, and if there is importance of conserving biodiversity, in what way we should conserve biodiversity, how does that help us in toto. So these are the basic questions that we'll discuss in this session. So biodiversity or biological diversity is the occurrence of different types of ecosystems. Of course, in our previous chapter we defined ecosystem, and in a nutshell we can say ecosystem is a small place. Like a garden is an ecosystem, a lake is an ecosystem. So ecosystem is a small place, small area in which living and non-living things coexist together. They live in harmony. Such a place is called ecosystem. If you have got a small pisciculture type in your home, that's also an ecosystem. If you got a garden in your home, that's an ecosystem. A small lake is an ecosystem. So, like this, a small area having both biotic and abiotic factors coexisting peacefully, that's an ecosystem. So in that ecosystem, different species of organisms, both plants and animals, and their variant like biotypes, ecotypes, and gene adapted to different climates and environments of different regions, including their interactions and processes. So such small ecosystems join together and form a bigger biosphere, and bigger biospheres join together and make a biodiversity. So all the things that happening in that biosphere is a biodiversity. Diverse means varieties, different things. So bios means life, organisms, living organisms. So biodiversity is presence of varieties of animals and plants in a given space. So the term was coined by Edward Wilson. Thanks to him, the vast array of species of microorganisms, algae, fungi, plants and animals occurring on the earth either in the terrestrial or aquatic habitats, and the ecological complexes of which they are a part comprises biodiversity. All these together make a biodiversity. Diversity ranges from macromolecules to biomes. So the important diversity at the levels of biological organization are, so what are the diversities? One is genetic diversity, gene diversity. A single species might show high diversity at genetic level over its distributional range. That means a single species like amoeba species may show high diversity at genetic level. It may carry varieties of genes. Rauwolfia, for example, Rauwolfia omitoria shows genetic variation in terms of concentration and potency of chemical. Reserpine India has more than 50,000 genetically different strains of rice and thousands of varieties of mango. So that is genetic variety. A single species, mango species, showing varieties. Similarly, rice, single species, showing 50,000 genetically different strains. That means a single species called rice can carry varieties of genes, that is genetic diversity. And then second, species diversity. Diversity at species level, for example, the Western Ghats have more amphibian species diversity than the Eastern Ghats. I think those who are in the Karwar region, we can say Konkan, Maharashtra region, you must have noticed the presence of varieties of amphibian species, frog family. So that constitutes species diversity. And the third one, ecological diversity. So in India, in your own district, at least you must have seen varieties of ecosystems present. Like you may have a small lake, like Bhutran tank in Bijapur. You may be having a rainforest. You may be having a desert. You may be having mangroves, coral reefs in maybe Karwar region, Mangalore region, wetlands, of course, in Kerala, estuaries again in Kerala, and the coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh, and alpine meadows are types of ecological diversity. So there are varieties of ecosystems present in our country. And what is the distribution of these varieties? As you are seeing, we are going to classify into three classes: vertebrates, invertebrates, and plants. So among animals, we have got two wheels, a vertebrate wheel and an invertebrate wheel. And if you observe this wheel, the species diversity will come to know that among invertebrates, see, large portion of the ecosystem is occupied by insects. That's why insects are the highest number of species. They occupy maximum area. And then that will be followed by other animal groups. And the smallest one says crustaceans. After crustaceans, it is molluscans. And after molluscans, it is other animal group, whatever we have discussed in classification, animal kingdom. Okay, all this. But then I want you to remember this. Though we neglect insects, look at that. They in fact dominate the earth. And among vertebrates, look at that, fishes. Again, small creatures we normally neglect, and they are occupying almost 50% of the earth's area. And then that is followed by birds. Birds have got a second place, and then reptiles, and then amphibians. And look at that, mammals, our class, we belong to that. Almost last, in a very small space we are occupying on the earth. So among vertebrates, it is the fishes that occupy maximum area. Among the invertebrates, without any hesitation, the kings of the land are insects. And then among plants, look at that, angiosperms, flowering plants, and fungi. I think fungi is occupying first place, followed by the angiosperms, and then algae. After algae, it is ferns and alleys. Then, of course, mosses, and lichens also have their own place. So it is the fungi that is dominating in the diversity. The numbers, fungal numbers are dominating the earth. And then biodiversity and its conservation are vital environmental issues of international concern. It's not just our village, our taluka or district level or national level for that matter. It is international concern. As more and more people around the world begin to realize the critical importance of biodiversity for survival and well-being on this planet. Now we have realized that it is not enough if only human beings are present on this earth and try to dominate. But we need to understand that the whole thing is symbiotic relationship. Live and let live should be the mantra to survive happily on this planet. But unfortunately, most of you are saying that human beings being selfish, we are doing what we are not supposed to do. We are killing the animals, innocent animals, in the name of non-veg. We are putting fires to the forest, killing the animals as well as the greenery, and thereby we are reducing our own oxygen and increasing carbon dioxide, and we are torturing the animals. in the name of, let's say, circuses, you must have seen. So all this, what it means is, we human beings are becoming selfish. We are not caring for others. It is not leave and let live. It is only leave alone and let others die. That's bad from the human being side. So according to IUCN, that is International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Environment, the total number of plant and animal species described so far is about 1.5 million. But still, many species are yet to be discovered and described. So that's a challenge for us, for biologists. More than 70% of all the species recorded are animals, while rest are plants, including algae, fungi, bryophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. Among animals, 70%, look at that, 70% of them are insects. That's the domination of insects. The number of fungi species in the world is more than combined total of species of fishes, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. Look at that. And we biology boys have got a clue from that. What is the clue? We can do a lot of research on fungi. And we know that fungi is not only bad, it is extremely good also. So if we can focus on this, I think we can do some good for society in general and for some cure for the diseases in particular. So do not neglect fungi, have a focus on that. And biodiversity in our country, in India, is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries in the world. So out of the 12, we are one. India has only 2.4% of the land area of the world, only 2.4%, and it has 8.1% of global species biodiversity. So we should be proud of that, but I pray God that this percentage remains as such. So our effort should be to increase it to double digits. There are about 45,000 species of plants, 45,000, I think very less, and about 90,000 to 1 lakh species of animals. So new species are yet to be discovered and named. So only I said, being a science student, the best character of a science student is observation. Keep on observing what is around you, what is surrounding you, and make it a habit to visit a forest, a nearby forest, and observe the things. Observe the insects, observe the plants, observe the stem, observe the roots. So make it a habit to observe. Applying Robert May's global estimate, only 22% of the total species have been recorded. Only 22. So we have got a lot of work to do. India has probably more than 1 lakh species of plants and 3 lakh species of animals to be discovered and described. So all biology boys, we have a challenge. Now, patterns of biodiversity, latitudinal gradients. The diversity of plants and animals is not uniform throughout the world, and it shows uneven distribution naturally because climatic factors vary, ice mountains, cold regions, hot regions. So naturally the climatic factors will influence the survival of plants and animals. This distribution pattern is along the latitudinal gradient in diversity. So it is latitudinal lines. Species diversity decreases, now I want you to focus on this, decreases as we move away from the equator and towards the poles. I just now told what is the reason. As we move towards the poles, extreme temperatures. So naturally plants and animals can't survive in that extreme cold temperatures. Tropics harbor more species than temperate or polar areas. That's for the, again, climate. Amazonian rainforest has the greatest biodiversity on the earth. So only Amazon forest. It has more than 40,000 species of plants, 125,000 species of insects, 300 species of fish, 427 of amphibian, and 378 of reptiles, 1300 species of birds, and 427 species of mammals. So various hypotheses has been proposed regarding this. such as speciation is a function of time, unlike temperate regions subjected to frequent glaciation in past. Tropical latitudes have remained relatively undisturbed for millions of years and thus had long evolutionary time for species diversification. B. Tropical environments, unlike temperate ones, are less seasonal and more constant and predictable, which promote niche. Niche means small ecosystem, small area, niche specialization, and lead to a greater species diversity. So only tropical areas are preferred. There is more solar energy available in the tropics, which contribute to higher productivity. This in turn contribute indirectly to greater diversity. So this is the reason why the biodiversity can be seen at large in tropical areas than in the cold regions. So we'll continue with this in the next session with a graph.